Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my July reading wrap up. I did read 4 books in the month of July, so I'm going to give you my quick review as well as what I rated it, what the book is about, of course. If you're new here, hi, my name is Emily. This is actually my second channel where I talk about anything else that interests me outside of the beauty space, which is what my main channel is about. So here I like to talk about reading, my first vegetable garden, and the occasional motherhood content. So if that is something that interests you, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. And with all that being said, let's hop into what I read in the month of July. As I mentioned at the beginning, I did read 4 books in the month of July, which is actually really good for me. I feel like I am out of a reading slump. I am picking up the pace, and I had a really great reading month. I read 3 4-stars and 1 5-star, I believe. I read 1 new adult fantasy and 3 adult contemporaries, which is so unlike me, but I actually had the best time. I'm definitely thinking adult contemporary or adult romance is something I should include in my reading more often because I had a really great time, like I said. Okay, I'm hoping that these videos are not too long and rambly because I really didn't read a ton compared to others, so let's just hop right in. First, I read From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a new adult fantasy. I gave this 4 stars. So in this book, you're following the maiden who her face cannot be seen. She can't really be heard speaking. She's not allowed to speak to others except for those that are really like high ranking in her kingdom, I guess. And she always has guards around her. And until her ascension, she needs to be kept pure, safe, all of that. There is like wars going on. There are zombie or vampire like creatures in this book that wreak havoc on the town outside of like the walled in castle sort of thing. And she gets a new guard who is making her feel all kinds of things. Maybe she doesn't want to be as pure as everyone is just telling her she needs to be because she's been the chosen one since birth. She hasn't really had a life. I know a lot of people really love this. I'm going to start there. And it was a great time. It was less action-packed than I expected in the first half, at least. It definitely picked up. And there was one scene in particular that really bothered me, that lowered it, I guess. Like, this whole book, you kind of have to suspend your disbelief in, like, consent and all of that. Like, this is a very smutty, not even very smutty, there's definitely smutty scenes in here, and some of them I found kind of icky. Yeah, there are a couple that I just didn't like. I don't want to spoil anything. So I am going to continue on with the series. I'm not obsessed with this like everyone else is. This is quite a chunky book. I'm just going to leave it there. Next, I read One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, another 4-star read for me. This is an adult contemporary read. You are following Emma Blair, who has married her high school sweetheart, the love of her life. They have a great life full of adventure. They are like travel journalists, and they chose that career to get out of their very small town where they grew up. Now, her husband, Jesse, leaves to go on one of his trips to do an article or whatever, photography, I forget, and he never comes back. His helicopter has crashed into the ocean. Now, we're following Emma many years later. She has fallen in love again and is getting ready to marry this new man in her life. She has finally moved on from Jesse, still loves him, but has moved on. And then one day, when she answers the phone, she recognizes the voice on the other end immediately, and it's Jesse. So this was so impactful, hard to read. I loved it. I cried. I don't know why. I'd say it's like a 4.5 star, I guess. And because I don't think it's like a new all-time favorite, but I really did love this book. If you're looking for something that's going to give you all the feels, definitely recommend it. It's hard to make a decision, like you maybe feel one way at the beginning and then your mind is changed, or maybe it's not. It was a really solid book. Next, I read Under the Southern Sky by Christy Woodson Harvey. I gave this 5 stars. I read this for Samantha March's book club. If you're a YouTube member in the second tier for her channel, there is a bi-monthly book club, and I've really been enjoying it. So this was the pick for July. This is a multi-perspective adult contemporary book. You're following Amelia Saxton, who is a journalist, and she writes like investigative journalism. She finds out something about family friends of hers through her investigative journalism that she probably shouldn't know. And it kicks off like this whole thing. And I loved the Southern US vibe. Like Amelia and then her childhood best friend who lives next door has very overbearing, like stereotypical Southern mothers. They're so dramatic, so over the top. They're hilarious to read from. This book touches on infertility, IVF, grief, so many huge topics. I went into this, I bought the ebook, which now I kind of regret because I was like, I don't know if this book is going to be for me. It is a love story, but apparently I've been loving adult romance. Who knew? And I really wish I had the physical copy to have on my shelves now, but that's okay. I guess I can give you a little more of a synopsis because it says so right in the Goodreads thing that Amelia is doing an investigative piece on what is done with embryos that are considered abandoned at fertility clinics. Are they donated to science, adopted out, destroyed? You know, what do people do with them? And she discovers that Parker and his late wife Greer have embryos at this clinic that she starts off her investigating at, and they have been deemed abandoned because they have not kept up on the payments. And so she asks Parker about them because she knew that his wife Greer had passed a couple of years prior due to cancer. So they had saved embryos for when she got better, but she didn't. Lastly, I read The Six Christy by Samantha March. I have read a couple of Samantha's books now and definitely want to continue reading the 6 series that she is writing. There's going to be 6 books in the series. It's a group of 6 girlfriends and each book follows a different one. I gave this book 4 stars. So you are following Christy, who is an elementary school guidance counselor, and you follow her a little bit at her job day to day, but it's mostly about the dynamics of the friendship between the 6 girls. They are in their mid-20s and most are single, so there's definitely still a lot of partying and stuff happening. And I didn't really vibe with that because they're not much younger than me, but I guess my life is just so different, very domesticated compared to them, I guess. There is a trigger warning, mega trigger warning for sexual abuse. And though I knew that content warning going into it, the chapters that surrounded that broke my heart to pieces. I was crying. Oh my gosh, they were so hard to read, so well written. And I think it made it even more impactful because I knew that they were written from Samantha March's real life experiences, which just makes me sick to my stomach and I want to cry even just thinking about it right now. These books are very short. They're less than 200 pages. I'm excited to pick up the next one. Another reason why I gave it a 4 instead of a 5-star was Christy has terrible communication skills. Terrible. With not even just in her dating life or anything like that, but even with her girlfriends, and her inner monologue is like, oh, I should ask, but no, I won't. Or she just makes up these stories and reasonings that have like no context. She has really bad communication skills. And I wrote in my review on Goodreads that like perhaps that was the point, but it still made me enjoy the book a little less, so I couldn't give it 5 stars. But I'm definitely excited to continue the series because the way that Christy leaves off, there's definitely a lot of tension in the friend group. And in the second book, we're following Lauren, and I'm very excited to get her perspective on things. Samantha March did a really good job of giving each of the 6 girlfriends very distinct personalities, characteristics, both physical and personality characteristics. They have very distinct careers and lives outside of the friendship group, so they're really easy to keep track of, and I appreciated that a lot. Nothing worse than having a like semi-large cast of characters and some of them are not like really fleshed out and you can't really remember who is who, so I really enjoyed that about this book as well. But those were the 4 books that I read in the month of July. I'm hoping to continue on this wave of reading more for me. I know in the grand scheme of BookTube that is like nothing, but I'm a busy mom of 3 boys who works from home for my own business, and reading time is limited. I don't have the ability to really listen to audiobooks at this time in my life, so it's just whenever I get a chance to sit down, I try and read a chapter or 2 before bed as well because all the kids are in bed. So I'm happy with my reading in the month of July. Let me know what you read. Did you love it? I would love to chat with you in the comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!